AIPAC's grip on America, the foreign power controlling Washington. My dear brothers and sisters, there exists in Washington a force so powerful that presidents bow their heads, congressmen bend their knees, and senators silence their voices. This force is not elected by the American people, nor does it represent the will of the nation. It is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, one of the most dominant lobbying machines in the history of the United States of America. To understand its power, you must know what it is. AIPAC is not a government agency, not a political party, and not a body elected by the people. It is a private lobbying organization, founded in the early 1950s by a man named Isaiah L. Kenen, a former employee of the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Born from the American Zionist Council, AIPAC was created with one mission: to ensure that USA foreign policy would always align with the interests of Israel. Its headquarters stand proudly in Washington, but its heartbeat beats for Tel Aviv. It calls itself a public affairs committee, yet in truth, it is an unregistered foreign lobby. Unlike groups that must legally declare themselves as representatives of other nations, AIPAC found a way to avoid those rules by branding itself as a purely domestic organization. But its goal has never been hidden: to shape America's laws, budgets, and wars in ways that benefit Israel, regardless of the cost to the American people. Who governs AIPAC? Not the voters of America. It is led by a board of directors, wealthy donors, financiers, and business magnates whose loyalty lies with Israel above all else. Its top leadership is made up of executives who control fundraising networks, channeling millions upon millions into the campaigns of USA politicians. They handpick candidates, fund their rise, and when necessary, engineer their downfall. When AIPAC decides, a political career can either be launched to the heavens or buried in silence. Its influence is not abstract. It is precise, calculated, and overwhelming. Every year, AIPAC holds a massive policy conference in Washington. Thousands of delegates descend, not ordinary citizens, but lobbyists, donors, and political operatives. And there, senators and representatives line up like obedient students, pledging their loyalty before cameras and crowds. The speeches are not for the American people, they are for AIPAC. Politicians compete for applause, not from their voters back home, but from the donors in the room who will finance their campaigns. And history shows the devastating effect of this influence. In 1967, after the Six-Day War, it was AIPAC that ensured America would not punish Israel for occupying Palestinian land, but instead reward it with greater aid and weapons. In 1973, when Israel was at risk during the Yom Kippur War, AIPAC lobbied for an emergency airlift of weapons, tanks, bombs, and missiles, all paid for by American taxpayers. In 2003, AIPAC's fingerprints were found in the march toward the Iraq War, where arguments about security and terror overlapped neatly with Israel's regional interests. American lives were lost, and American treasure was wasted, but AIPAC celebrated. In 2016, when President Obama approved the largest military aid package in USA history, $38 billion over 10 years, it was not born of American debate, but of AIPAC pressure. In 2019, AIPAC helped push anti-BDS legislation across state governments, making it illegal or punishable for Americans to boycott Israeli products, a direct assault on the First Amendment. At the United Nations, countless times, America has stood alone in vetoing resolutions condemning Israel for war crimes. Why? Because AIPAC makes sure Washington's hand is chained to Tel Aviv's actions. Look around at the faces of power. Joe Biden, who calls himself a proud Zionist. Donald Trump, who moved the USA Embassy to Jerusalem and signed deals written to please Tel Aviv. Barack Obama, who in his last days in office sent Israel the largest military aid package in USA history, $38 billion, ensuring decades of dependency. Hillary Clinton, whose campaigns were showered with AIPAC-backed donations. Nancy Pelosi, who openly declared that if Washington crumbled into dust, America's support for Israel would remain. And Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, who boasts of being Israel's guardian. On the Republican side, names like Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and Lindsey Graham eagerly compete to prove who is more loyal to AIPAC's agenda. On the Democratic side, leaders like Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Hakeem Jeffries stand in line to reaffirm their unshakable bond with Israel. It matters not the party nor the ideology. When AIPAC speaks, Washington listens. Year after year, billions of American dollars flow overseas, schools unfunded, roads crumbling, veterans neglected, families drowning in debt, yet billions are pledged without question to a foreign state. Why? Because AIPAC ensures that any politician who dares to speak otherwise will face political ruin. It is not the ballot box that decides who survives in Congress, but the blessing or the wrath of this lobby. This is not simply lobbying. This is control. AIPAC has mastered the art of influence, lavish donations, promises of political survival, threats of opposition funding. They gather lawmakers in conference halls and remind them that their careers depend not on the voices of the people they represent, but on the blessing of a lobby that speaks for a foreign land. Think about it, brothers and sisters. American soldiers march into wars that are not their own, spilling blood in deserts thousands of miles away, believing they fight for freedom, when in truth many are fighting for policies shaped not by America's interests, but by Israel's. And the American people are told it is holy, that it is righteous, that it is inevitable. But it is not. It is orchestrated. The danger is not only in the billions spent, nor the wars fought, but in the erosion of America's very soul. A nation once built on independence, self-determination, and liberty now moves in lockstep with the will of a lobby that serves another flag. What does that mean for the future of America when the voices of its own citizens are silenced under the weight of foreign interests? My dear brothers and sisters, this is not a distant concern. This is a warning. The unchecked influence of AIPAC is not only shaping foreign policy, it is shaping the destiny of America itself. And if Americans do not awaken, if they do not reclaim their voice, then their leaders will not govern for them, but for others. The cost will not only be measured in dollars, but in freedom. The question is no longer whether AIPAC is powerful. The question is, how long will America allow a foreign lobby to hold the reins of its democracy? Because if left unchallenged, AIPAC's grip will drag America into wars its people never wanted, with blood spilled and treasure wasted, all while the true victims, ordinary American citizens, are left to pay the price.